Good morning. Welcome to my channel. I be that Sequential Geek, and it is a quiet, cool Saturday morning out here in the Denver area. I've been finding out that there is a slew of successful indie creators, self-publishing, that is growing apparently. And this one local creator is actually, I think, from St. Louis, but has been living in the Denver area for a few years. And Pidge, Pidge, pidgecomics.com. So these two issues caught my eye at Mile High Comics, and there's always the creator that's willing to go for it. I always have much respect for somebody that maybe they only work at it once a month, one day a month, but when somebody like this that catches your eye, that you can tell they're doing this on the reg, they want to make a living out of this. You got to respect that, and somebody that's willing to hone the craft, express their own voice in art and literature. Infinite wheat paste. Wheat paste, by the way, it's this homemade substance you can create if you want to post placards, posters, advertisements, promos. It allows it to stick onto bricks and wood. You see them a lot in advertisements, promos for bands or movies, so forth, as well as street art. Infinite Wheat Paste is an Ignatz Award-nominated sci-fi adventure comic for mature readers. While the settings and circumstances are fantastical, each comic features a one-shot adventure about human relationships. Very cerebral, avant. It's subtleties like that we take advantage of, that your mind reacts to. The environment, right? Strip malls, buildings, telephone pole wires, streets mainly. I think that's real. Traffic. Not so real with the coral going on there in the desert. It's just one of the interesting things about Denver. It's this elevated desert-like climate, and did not expect that. It's amazingly sunny here, and skies are beautiful. Infinite Wheat Paste. So I couldn't find issue number 1 on Amazon or eBay. Pidge, thank you. Got a couple copies here. Thank you for your order, Infinite Wheat Paste. IWP is so special to me. Enjoy issue number 7 with my compliments. Stay safe. Live wisely, best. Pidge. The Ignatz Award. So, how would I best describe Ignatz? Here is George Harriman. That is whom the Ignatz Awards are based off of, basically. Ignatz. There's Crazy Cat, his creation, and Crazy Cat's friend, that mouse, Ignatz, who always loves to express how much he cares about Crazy Cat by throwing something at his head. Think about George Harriman, and a lot of where he comes from is not about being defined on paper. It's not about being defined in black and white. Coming from post-Civil War New Orleans, very politically charged New Orleans, where his grandparents and great-grandparents were involved in political nonviolent protests that were studied and used by people like MLK 100 years later. Racially diverse, religiously diverse languages, where people kind of like in Blade Runner, where people would develop their own mishmatches of idioms, expressions, hellos, goodbyes, getting things done, agreements, negotiation skills mixed with different forms of Creole or Yoruba from West Africa, different forms of Spanish from South America. So Mr. Harriman developed his own language, and he implemented Not only that type of diverse sense of identity that, like I said, isn't really defined in black and white. They didn't really take that type of point of view. His parents bailed around the turn of the century, got a little bit too politically charged over there in New Orleans. They went to LA, where he ended up graduating from high school early and had this almost like a college university degree level education where he learned Greek, Latin. He implemented those different forms of languages from like Shakespeare or Euripides, poems that he learned. Couldn't define George Harriman in terms of black and white. Couldn't really define it as something on paper. They didn't really take that seriously where he came from in New Orleans with that religious and racially diverse environment, mixed mash of languages, like out of Blade Runner. He implemented that type of invention with language. Infinite wheat paste. So you don't really have a definition, right? For a lot of these indie comics, it's their own thing. It's their own interpretation of who they are. Sometimes it's a play on the irony of how we think we are versus what's going on around us. And pointing out the irony of that can be done in some real profound, humorous ways. And George Harriman did that a lot, unlike other cartoonists during his time that were also successful, like Walt Disney. A lot of anthropomorphic creators like Walt Disney and George Harriman were successful and had trailers, animation, cartoons. They were used to push products. He had floats, like in the Thanksgiving parade. By the time his comics got to be successful. Long story short, check out my previous vid. I'll post the link below. That's on the book Crazy, George Harriman, A Life in Black and White. It's by Michael Tisserand. I'm psyched that I spent some coin on a few indie authors. I like to always support local talent every now and then. If you're going to complain about the big two, then you should throw some coin down on some local talent, right? Which included this Ignatz Award nominated comic. It's just to set people apart from mainstream awards like the Eisner Awards. Issues 11 and 12 are the latest in print. Yeah, when I was living in Seattle in the mid-90s, in The Stranger, it's this free alternative newspaper. It's an amazing source of info for just anything you needed to know that was going on in the Seattle area. That was the internet back then, and there was this comic book strip by Ellen Fournier, and she's done album covers for a variety types of bands, and she's done promo work for Lord knows how many companies, but she's mainly known for her independent comics, and this is a reprint, came out by Fantagraphics in 2001. It's a reprint of the comic strips that she did about her life growing up. Remember this L7 album cover she did? So I got that for $4. Whenever I see an image first, I always pick it up. I think it's a good investment. Long term, people are going to be paying $5-10 for these that you just buy originally for $1. Miraca and Dolfo's Unnatural. Check that out. Unnatural. She dreams of something different. So, the Italian hit series by Mirko and Dolfo. This is per Comic Vine. Full of anthropomorphic creatures, but light on personal freedoms by way of a breathtaking plot that travels between thriller and fantasy with a hint of sensuality. The artwork in this is amazing. America Andolfo. She's pulling off some highbrow erotica. Good job, Mirko. $1 a piece. Can't go wrong long term with these. In my previous vid, I featured Ted Intorsio's book about alfalfa, Switzer. Now this one is actually about another member of our gang from that black and white comedy about these kids getting in trouble, these homeless kids getting in shenanigans. I got this for $8, black and white. And they say it's a fascinating look at the fall of a child actor's star. Horselaugh looks at the life and death of this surprising talent whose only crime was growing up. He's from the Little Rascals. The original title was Our Gang. And this is the same type of group where Buckwheat, and I know he turned out to be an alcoholic, I heard. So I think a lot of these child actors, they were like the first child actors, really. And they all had these tragic endings, these lives that turned into duds, these anticlimactic runs where it's for some reason it's worth telling the birth of the information age, people's faces being recognized worldwide and being treated as a brand, that whole cultural aspect of thinking of yourself as an American, that concept of fame, and how that all started back at the birth of pictures, really. So that's my spontaneous take on it. So it should be pretty interesting to see the results of these lives of these kids that were first exposed to being movie stars, for being looked at as something that you, like with a superhero, you're a character-based asset. You're a living, breathing, organic human being, but put your face next to a tube of toothpaste, that tube of toothpaste is going to sell more than the other brands sitting on that drugstore shelf. So we got here Horselaugh, The Death of Freckles, aka Mickey Daniels, a biographical comic by Ted Intorsio, Tinto Press. I love these biographical comics. I love historical stuff. So, wow, that glare, please. Let's hope it works out. Got this for $8 too, also at Mile High Comics. This ran for 12 issues from May 2015 to April 2017. I hope that view can do Jason Burrows' artwork justice. H.P. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe, is that like the birth of horror? Among other genres like detective stories, mysteries, suspense, thrillers. Hey, what's up? Neil Gaiman, with a cover by Dave McKean. It's a DC Dollar Comics, a reprint of Sandman number 23. Originally had the cover date of February 1991. And it's a story that features Lucifer Morningstar. Per comicvine.com, this DC reprints a pivotal story that sets the stage for the Sandman / Lock and Key Hell and Gone #1 comic coming in November. And this excerpt is from November 17th, 2020 from comicvine.gamespot.com. It's a 1992 promo book. It has a couple of pages from each of the new vertical stories that are going to be coming out in 1993. So this comic came out, I think, around November, December of 92. It's got a couple of pages out of Death, the High Cost of Living. It's the Neil Gaiman story, ran for 3 issues with art by Chris Bacalo. There's also a standalone Sandman story that's 7 pages by Neil Gaiman inside this book. 75 cents cover price. Pretty nice condition. It's the type of stuff I like to grab. Buy low, sell high. It's got something iconic like death in it. I got it for $1. Why not? If I got room for it at this point. I think that's my 3rd copy. Like I said, I'm starting to get 3 copies of stuff. Wow. Colorado, an American landmark. Fucking A. Dope comics for people on dope. Cali Chronic Comics, issue 1 out of February 2015. Colorado and Washington are the first 2 states to legalize marijuana. First fucking issue. Inspired by the movie The Big Lebowski, as seen on Marijuana Show. It says as seen in Lebowski 101. Alright, so 2 of these at Mile High. Showed these before. These are, these 2 women are married, and they are the first female married superhero couple. Rainy Day Women, April 2015. By the way, that's by Jeffrey Peterson. Cali Chronic Comics, issue 1 out of November 2015. Dr. Kush, as seen on MTV. Blunt One. Got it, dose. They also had this $4 comic. It's almost like collage art. Cheetah Man Origin. Got it all sealed up. Haphazard. It's had some great interior artwork by R. Florence from 2015. That is an homage to Frank Frazetta, it says down there, from Fandom House. Show Devils, Killing Floor Oasis. This is kind of like a outlaw comic. Horror, torture. Monster Special. I got this particular one sealed up. It actually has more sequential stories. This publisher sells these books for $2 a piece. Ideal Comics, www.idealcomics.net, and it's these mini comics. They are very short. These have multiple panels. It's actual sequential story, a couple of horror stories, and I love about this because it's just somebody going for it. It is 1 panel a page. Like I said, this is not 1 panel a page, but most of them are. Is this just some kid? Some 10-year-old? Or is this some avant prodigious genius that's been doing sequential, publishing their own sequential for decades. I don't know, you be the judge. This is $2. Maybe you got something they need to print. They also got Night Terror meets Dr. Progress. 1939 in New Bremerhaven, a series of explosions rocked the factory district. But the Night Terror is not out for the count. And a day is saved by the Night Terror. I have a synopsis of the story on the back. Maybe not the best level of art, but maybe you can go out and do your own too. Well, maybe you can do better. Show us. This is Realm, issue number 8. Copyright 2016, Planetary Press, out of Lakewood, Colorado. Bob Conway is the editor. Some modern stories, and there's some stuff from the 70s. Artie Stick, Platinum Toad. This is an anthology. Now this looks like it's an ink pen. Daryl Anderson. This Calculus Cat actually looks like a takeoff of Crazy Cat. It's by Hunt Emerson. He even does like his own language. Invents his own kind of language. Has this TV telling him what to do. He's like, don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. And then boom, your TV license ends. And so there's also some other stories in here that are from the 70s. Marvin, the Melting Martian. This Buggers right here. This is 1976. Kind of reminds me of Vaughn Baudet, the way that those characters look. I know that Vaughn Baudet wasn't the only one that did that style, but he's known for it. Another Platinum Toad. Elasticat is funny. Alright, let's move on. And this is actually Morty Mouse. He's talking about how the name got changed to Mickey. So he's left out to dry. Real Dope Thrills. $1979. So those indie comics I got over at Mile High Comics. Vision Comics and Oddities. This one I got in the mail. I paid cover price $6 plus $4 shipping, so it's a $10 comic. That's issue number 2 of the original, I guess what you could say, the first X-Men Grand Design. There were 2 issues in each set, the 3-set run that Ed Piskor did with his synopsis of the X-Men mythology. This is Mastermind, and this is the variant edition for issue number 2. Second printing. Excuse me. Second cover, first printing, right? All right, and these I got over at Vision Comics and Oddities yesterday on the 4th. This is now my 3rd copy of Alpha Flight. Issue number 1. Got this for $16. We have a spine. What is it? A spine tick right there. How would you grade this? That dent right there. A little bit of a spine crack. A nice like color break. That bottom staple. Nice bright colors though. Well, the back is nice. White to off-white. John Byrne doing the story pencils for this Alpha Flight number 1. Oops. This came out in 2017, by the way. X-Men Grand Design. That first set. $16 for that direct edition. First appearance of Alpha Flight was X-Men Uncanny X-Men number 120 and 121. First appearance of Weapon Alpha, the Vindicator, leader of Alpha Flight, was Uncanny X-Men 109. Back to the stack. Batman the Dark Knight number 4. Got that for $38. Such a great deal. Frank Miller did the pencils in that story. Klaus Janson doing the inks. Vision Comics and Oddities. I love this shop. I had a great time hanging out today. Just chilling. It's good to get out. I guess you could say horror thriller section that they have off to the side. And I got this Predator Homeworld number 1. That is a June 2013 cover date. And that cover is by Joel Napperstack. Yeehaw! Nice newsstand copy for $4. Dark Horse Comics. Bernie Wrightson. I had a 4th issue of this. It's a 5-issue limited series of horror stories written, mostly drawn by Bernie Wrightson. This one I got for $15 because the condition of this is... I don't know. What would you say the condition of this guy is? You tell me. Nice gloss. Spine is looking good. Wow. I mean, there's a dent there, but it's not like a stain. Bright colors. Volume 1, number 3, August 1983. Pacific Comics. Nice condition. The Indy Independent Guide presents the Outlaw Comics Independent Only Price Guide, $4 each. It's had a total of 18 issues, and this is issue number 4. Yeah, I know, isn't that dope? Beasley scrapbook, $4. So there's no real lists, but it's different store owners writing in. It's a real price guide. That's what I love about those Overstreet price guides in the beginning. They have stores that write in. It's like you need a magnifying glass to read those, but these here have a bunch of stores that have written in and it's given their report. Shadow Slasher on the left there. And that is Lucifer. An elf named Lucifer. Drew Hayes character creation. Poison elves. Story by Dan DeBono. Chapter 1 art, Kyle Hutt. Brent Carpenter letters. Awesome, got those for $4 a piece. This one is a lot better condition. There's like that one spine tick there, but yeah, nice. A reader copy. I think that's a Tim Vigil cover, by the way. Creator of Faust, writer Dave Quinn, I think it is. Rebel edition. The first 6 issues of Faust were printed under the North Star label, and then Vigil and Quinn had their own Rebel Studios label that they continued over issue 7 to 15. Took them like 15 years to finish that Faust story. It's all good. Yeah, I just went to Vision Comics and Oddities to pick up some bags and boards. Yeah. Anyway. So that independent guide was from 1994. A year before, in 1993, got this Beasley scrapbook. $3 for that Ghost in the Shell comic. It's a reprint from Wizard. It's a reprint from Wizard magazine mini comic of 1995's Ghost in the Shell. Pencils, inks, colors, and stories by Masamune Shiro. Masamune-san. Tom Orzakowski did the letters on that English translation. Got that mini comic for $3. Check out this cover. It is brilliant. Out of 1994, this X-Men ash can. It's a promotional item for the upcoming Age of Apocalypse storyline. It's a reprint of the Predator comic that originally came out in June 1989 cover date. That cover is by Chris Warner. Not sure when this mini comic came out. This little mini Predator right there. How you doing, little mini Predator? Yeah, you're a good Predator, aren't you? You like that, don't you? You're a good Predator. Say, a mini Predator comic. The little Predator. How little he is. Don't make fun of him. Nice. That mini comic for $6. Another comic here for $6. It's a really nice near mint Verotica #1. Original cover price is $2.95. It features stories by Glenn Danzig, as well as Grant Morrison, Craig Hamilton. Really nice, beautiful Simon Beasley cover right there. Are you ready, people? Party of sequential people in the house. 2000. Oops. Jenna Jameson, Shadow Hunter. Now there is a Mike Deodato cover. This issue has 3 separate covers. Some of the descriptions online have demons, slaying, sex. What else would you expect from a comic conceived by Jenna Jameson and realized by Witchblade co-creator Christina Z? Greg Land did the C cover. Mike Deodato Jr. did the B cover, which they had at Vision Comics and Oddities. I didn't get it for whatever reason. Wanted to save money. I saw this one and I just figured, yeah, I'm digging those tats and that Greg Horn look right there. Should have got the Deodato one. Either way, it's another thing to hunt on and obsess on with this hobby. Cover date February 2008. Haven't read this, but that would be badass if she pulled that sword out of her back like that, out of that tattoo. Oh yeah, Virgin Comics 2007. Thank you, Jenna Jameson, for collaborating with Virgin Comics. Tim Vigil. This is Tim Vigil's Raw Media Mags, #2 from 1992. Pencils and inks on that cover by Tim Vigil. This is out of Rebel Studios in 1991 through 1994. They printed these Raw Media Mags. There's a total of 5 of them. Stunning Tim Vigil work right there, yeah? This last comic coming up is not from a title that I normally collect. I looked up on Comic-Con, the print run, but Comic-Con, what is that? COMICHRON. They only go back to September. So it's not recent enough. So I don't know what the print run of this comic right here I'm about to show you is. I do not normally read this brand. Nothing against it. I did go out with this woman I met back in Seattle in 2000. Met her at the Baltic Room. First date we went on was at the Cha-Cha. Went on a date. She had me come over like every Tuesday night, and she got me hooked on dinner night, and she wanted to watch, what was it, Buffy and Angel, and that was that season where it culminated with the Tower. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I saw this cover at Vision Comics and Oddities today, and this just called out to me. I mean, this is not typical comic book cover, variant cover type of art. It even reminds me of like a Hitchcock promo, a Hitchcock poster with that type of artwork and the doors and uh, maybe a James Bond or shit, something along those lines, and that some type of surreal memento from that pop culture of the screen era. Definitely pop art. I am digging this cover of Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 20. This cover is the B cover by Becca Carey. Fucking brilliant. Tight corners. I checked the condition. This was the only one that they had, and I figured, let's do it. Let's show you this condition. Show it off here. This is something I would frame. Becca Carey. $200 cover C then, if it's 3, first printing. Stay safe. Be cool to each other. Be excellent. Party on. I got myself this Miles Morales out of Walgreens about a month and a half ago. I got this 1966. It's a reprint from Fantastic Four 52 from 1966, first appearance of Black Panther. I got 5 copies in the mail, plus that 6th one from my last vid, so I got 6 copies. My True Believers, Stan Lee script, plot, and art by Jack Kirby. Pretty cool. Miles Morales, another iconic historical landmark. Such a cool looking toy too. I'm not into this, but Mr. Fred Hall and J Blue 68, thank you for your kind influence on my spending habits. God bless y'all. Thanks for watching. Word to your mother. Peace out.